Hey friend, have you ever spent any time trying to decipher the ingredients on your CBD bottle, or really anything else for that matter? It can be pretty overwhelming. So today I'm going to take a few minutes to help you understand what your CBD bottle label is telling you, so you can be confident knowing whether what you've been using is safe or if maybe you need to move on to something new. Let's go. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the CBD and You podcast. And yes, you means you. And I believe you are here for a reason. I'm Lori, a Christian, a wife, a mama, and a midwife. And to put a little icing on the cake, my husband and I own a hemp farm in Tennessee. Girlfriend, I see it in your eyes and I feel it in the messages you send me. You are tired of waking up every day exhausted with aches and pains that you really thought you were too young for. And with all the stress and anxiety of the day, you're over it. Are you starting to wonder if this is really all life is? I hear you, and you are not alone. God did not design us to just survive. He designed us to thrive. So if you're ready to embrace this beautiful life God has given you by discovering some of His best gifts for His children, rewarm that coffee you forgot about in the microwave, and let's take a minute to pour back into you with a quick chat and some me time. Let's go. Okay, so real quick before I get started, I just want to say that I have some exciting information to share with you. So I want you to be sure to stay tuned to the end. It's a little different than what you might expect from this podcast, so I'm going to save it to the end. Just make sure you hang in here all the way so you don't miss it, okay? So let's go. First of all, thank you so much for coming back to hang out. Today, as I mentioned in the intro, we're going to dive into a topic that I know a lot of you have questions about: labels. How in the world are you supposed to know what's in a CBD bottle and what it all means? It's a lot, and it can be hard to understand. I've told you I used to be confused by it all in some of the previous episodes, and honestly, I just thought it was a way for druggies, and when I say it, I mean CBD. I thought it was kind of a way for druggies to just get their drugs in a supposedly legal way. I had really just bought into all that bad info out there, and they had me convinced. As a Christian, I just assumed that CBD was bad because isn't everything bad, right? Everything that seems good to the world is usually bad. But that's not the case here. Like I also told you, we ended up doing research and deciding to grow hemp here in Tennessee and make products to sell. So clearly, along the way, something happened to change what I thought about CBD. Turns out that it's a wonderful gift from God to help us have balance and wellness during our time here on earth. So I want you to be able to use CBD and understand it. So today we're going to quickly go over the labeling, so when you're picking up a product and you're looking at it, you know what it says and what it's telling you. And I just want you to be able to make sense of it and make a good choice. So on the label, there's several different things that you'll see. The most important thing as far as knowing how powerful the product is that you're getting is going to be the number. Oftentimes that number is going to be a little bit bigger than all the other text that's on that label. Be careful not to be deceived, though. You have to consider the milligram amount and the volume. All right, so you're going to have to get out your brain from high school and do some maths here with me, okay? Because you can't just look at the number. You have to look at some other things too. All right, so just for ease of math, I'm going to talk about our lowest dose that we offer, which is the 1,000 milligram bottle. So that number, 1,000 milligrams, in this one bottle of 1 ounce of fluid means that that entire bottle has 1,000 milligrams in it. It's not 1,000 milligrams per dose, it's 1,000 milligrams in the bottle. So since 1,000 milligrams is in that 1 ounce bottle and an ounce is 30 milliliters, you can back that out and figure out how much CBD is in each drop of the liquid. Okay, 30 milliliters of oil is usually right at 600 drops. So that means that to figure out how many milligrams are in each drop, stay with me, don't get lost. You take the milligram amount, so in this case 1,000 milligrams, and you divide it by 600. Okay, you're going to do that for any bottle that's just 1 ounce, and that's 30 milliliters. So for this example, 1,000 milligram bottle has 600 drops, and each one of those drops will have 1.67 milligrams. Okay, so then you use that math, the 1.67 milligrams, and you divide it into whatever your dose is. And if you want to learn more about what your dose is, some of the previous episodes we touched on it a little bit, and we'll be touching on it more in the future, but we usually don't really know your dose until you've used it for a little while, and we kind of ease our way into it to figure it out. And I help you do that when you choose an Alara Ridge CBD oil. Okay, so now we've gone over the 1,000 milligrams, but sometimes you'll see numbers that are higher than that, but they'll still be the same volume. Sometimes I'll have people ask me for my smallest bottle, but really all three of our smallest sized bottles are actually 3 different doses because there's a higher concentration of CBD in some of them. So we also have a 1,500 milligram bottle, which if you do the math for that, you get 2.5 milligrams per drop because you do 1,500 divided by 600. See, even I'm getting confused. And then you can look at our 2,000 milligram bottle. And in the 2,000 milligram bottle, each drop actually has 3.3 milligrams. So you can see that the higher concentrations actually give you more bang for your buck. And it's a little bit better value because you're getting more milligrams for less per milligram, less dollars per milligram. Okay, so let's do the math down to how many drops you would take of a 1,000 milligram product. If you took, say for instance, your average size person and your dose we figured out is 15 milligrams per dose. So what you do is you take that 15 milligrams and you divide it by the 1.67 milligrams per drop because you want to know how many drops it's going to take to get to your 15 milligram dose. So for a 1,000 milligram bottle, you would need 8.9 drops. Okay. If you need to get a piece of paper, stop this, rewind it so it makes sense. You can do that. I know sometimes it's hard to do numbers in your head, but I'm trying to explain it the best I can without being able to like sit down with you like you're my kid in math class and show it to you on the board. Okay. So then let's take that same dose. Let's say 15 milligrams and this time you've got a 1,500 milligram bottle. So in this case, you would need 6 drops because you're going to divide that 15 by the 2.5. which is how many milligrams are in a drop of 1,500 milligrams. Now let's do the 2,000 milligram bottle. A 2,000 milligram bottle for us has 3.3 milligrams of CBD per drop. So you would take that 15 milligram dose and you would divide it by the 3.3 milligrams per drop, and you would find that you need 4.5 drops. So between 4 and 5, obviously it's very hard to do half of a drop. Okay, so the higher concentration bottles may seem intimidating. You might think, whoa, there's no way I need that high of a dose. But realize that you can adjust any dose to any concentration, and the higher bottles actually cost less per milligram, so they really are the best value. It costs more on the front end as far as how much you pay, but it lasts longer and goes further. So now let's move on to talking about the ingredients. What should you find on a CBD bottle label? What should be in that bottle? So first you should be able to find the source of the CBD. And this one is actually usually hard to find because a lot of people don't tell you where they source it from, and therein lies a big, big problem. Okay. The source, you should be able to know where it was grown, and that's rarely there. And you should also be able to know whether it was made from a CBD isolate, which is where they've taken everything out but the CBD and made it into kind of a crystallized form. It's basically kind of looks like sugar. Or if it came from hemp extract. That is where they just take the plant, they break it down all the way down into its extract form, and all the cannabinoids are in that extract. Our products are made of hemp extract, and you can see that clearly labeled on our bottles. The reason that you want to know this is obviously because you want to know the source of your cannabinoids. You want to know where they were grown, how it was processed, and all those kind of things. And that's very, very hard to know. So sometimes you'll have to do more research, look on websites and things like that if it's not on the bottle. For our products, it's all right there. You're going to be able to see it quite easily. The second thing that you need to consider is the carrier oil. It should be something organic, if at all possible. We personally use organic MCT oil. MCT stands for medium chain triglycerides. It is one of the best carrier oils for the CBD to bind to and to carry that CBD into your body. So that's why we choose to use it. The reason that you need a carrier oil at all is because hemp extract is incredibly concentrated. So when we go through the extraction process and we work it down to that crude extract, the concentration is actually 1,000 milligrams in just 1 milliliter. So you can see that it would be very hard to dose in that form. If your dose was let's say again, back to our previous example, let's say your dose is 15 milligrams, you would need 0.15 milligrams to get your, or excuse me, 0.15 milliliters to get your dose. That is very, very hard to measure accurately. So that's one of the main reasons why we use carrier oil, is to make it more diluted so that you can do the math a little easier and dose it better. Okay. The last thing that should be on there is if there is any type of flavoring, you should be able to tell what it came from. Was it a natural extract or a therapeutic grade essential oil, or was it something artificial? Why do you need flavoring? Well, if any of you have used the natural CBD, you know that it's got quite a potent flavor. And some people find that to be very off-putting, and they're like, I can't handle it. So the flavoring that's added just helps to mask that very earthy, hempy taste. Okay. And that really should be it. There should be no other ingredients in your CBD oil, because those three things alone will get you the results. And anything else that's added very often is unnecessary and is possibly added for things like preserving. And preservatives are never a good idea because of how artificial they are. We're not going to go into that very deep, but I'll just leave it at that. So other than the ingredients and the dosage, you might also see some warning information on the label. Understand that a lot of that stuff is there because we have to put it there. It's not that CBD is that scary. It's just that we pretty much have to say certain things, legally speaking, to keep the FDA off of our rear ends and to cover our rear ends, if you know what I mean. Oftentimes it'll say things like not to use heavy machinery, because it might make you sleepy. Well, once you're used to CBD and you know whether it makes you sleepy or not, you don't have to worry about that. You know how you function on it. But that very first use, it's very important for you to know how your body's going to react to it. The other information you might find on there, you might find some information about how to take it, which is very useful. And you might find a chart that's like what you would see on foods. It's like supplement facts or dietary facts. And that's just to give you information more specifically about how much of the cannabinoid content is in each unit of measure, however they decide to measure that out, whether it be by the milligram or the milliliter or the drop. Different bottles are going to have different information. Okay. So here's the problem though. You know all these things, but how can you be sure that that company can be trusted? Did you know that anybody can make a label? And did you know that anybody can put anything on that label? And you have no way of knowing exactly what's inside that bottle unless you want to go to the expense of doing some sort of a analysis to figure it out. So that's why it's so super important for you to trust the people from whom you're buying. It is very dangerous for you to just walk into a gas station or some sort of a CBD store where there's all manner of brands and things that you don't know what they are or where they came from. You're taking a big risk. And that's why it's so good to have companies like Alara Ridge Farm around now, because you know us. You're getting to know me if you don't personally know me already on this podcast, and you know good and well that I know what's in that bottle, because guess what? My husband puts it there, and very often I'm there when he's doing it and I see it go in. So, and speaking of anybody can make the labels, I made the labels. So he and I work hand in hand to make sure that what's in that bottle is truly what it says is in that bottle, and you can take that to the bank. The other nice thing that you can rely on with our product that some others can't say this is that we make everything in very small batches. And the reason that matters is because when you have a really big vat of CBD oil and you're pouring it into maybe 1,000 bottles at a time, you don't know that the CBD is evenly distributed in that entire volume, because some of it may have sank to the bottom while at the top it's just mostly carrier oil. We make all of ours in very small batches, and so it is a very equal distribution from bottle to bottle. You can be sure that what's in one bottle of 1,500 is going to be the same in the next bottle of 1,500, because it's made in small quantities with a consistent measurement. Okay, so that should give you a little bit of peace of mind, and I hope that it has. If you're ready to give us a try, what are you waiting on? Go on over to bit.ly/CBD YOU show, and you will be able to take 20% off of anything you want to give a try today, and it will all ship for free. If you go to that and it doesn't work, it doesn't put the code in your cart, just be sure when you're checking out in the cart, promo code, you put CBD and you, and it'll do the same thing. It'll take that 20% off. It's bit.ly/CBD and you show. Okay. Now, I told you back in the beginning that I was going to give you a little bit of a big announcement type of a thing. And some of you are already aware of this, but I mentioned in our introduction episode that I am also a certified nurse midwife. So I have actually launched another podcast, and I know some of you are already listening to it because you've told me so. But for those of you who have not, I just wanted to tell you about it because there is some overlap in the audience that I'm talking to. This particular podcast, I am really trying to talk to Christian women because so often we're the ones carrying all the stress and we're the ones making also the buying decisions. And so I wanted to be able to talk to other Christian mamas to help them understand what a wonderful product this is. My new podcast is called Your Birth, God's Way, and it is also talking to Christian mamas. So that's why I wanted to just give it a quick plug here and ask you to go check it out. If you haven't already, you can listen to it in the same exact place that you're listening to this right now. And it is all about discovering God's design and how that can bring you a peaceful pregnancy and peaceful birth and all the time beyond the postpartum period, breastfeeding, all those things. It's about getting back to God's plan and getting away from the stress-filled medical world that maternity care has become. So if you have a minute, I hope you'll go over there and check it out. Again, it's called Your Birth, God's Way. And just give it a listen. Hope you like it too, just like you have been enjoying this one. In either of those, if you have a second to leave me a 5-star written review, it sure does help me reach more mamas just like you, and I would so much appreciate that. So I will see you back here next week with another episode of awesome information for you, and I'll talk to you then. Whoa, wait, stop. I need your help. Before you take off, if this podcast has blessed you in any way, or if you learned something, could you take 1 minute and leave me a written review over on Apple Podcasts? That's the absolute best way you can thank me. I love hearing how what I've learned on my journey has helped you on yours. Remember that the Word says every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. CBD is one of them, but there are so many more. Cling to Him and you will never go wrong. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you back here in a few days.